What's up? Day one, video one. This is crazy, sexy, and a tad bit unstable. I told y'all it wasn't gonna be nothing fancy. It's just me and y'all and me sharing my stories and experiences. For those of you guys who do not know, my name is Aisha. Most people probably call me Ish. There's still a few people out here that's just say China, Miss P, Auntie, Mommy, whatever it is. But most people actually just refer to me as Ish, Aisha. I decided to do this channel as a mental health awareness because I myself am a person who suffer from mental health, and I feel like people don't always openly talk about it. And for years I've always said, I want to tell my story. I want to put it out there because, people, we may talk about it, in small settings. We may talk about it amongst our friends, but then sometimes you don't want to overwhelm your friends or your family with, the things that you're feeling inside. And it could be because you feel shameful. It could be because you don't want to burden them. It could be some things that's just too hard to say out loud. Fear of being judged, fear of repercussions, things like that. So I said, for at least a year or two now, at least since I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, I kept saying, I'm going to make these videos and, I'm going to tell my story. And I started doing it, but then I fell off because I had a few minor people reaching out to me why are you putting yourself out there like that, telling everybody your business? Are you okay? What's wrong? What's going on? And that was enough to make me feel like, you know what? I don't want people looking at me differently. So then I went back to holding all of this inside. I went back to just talking to myself. Talking to myself in the shower, talking to myself in the house, in the car, whatever. Just that was my form of just getting it out. And I was just you could probably help somebody by sharing your story. And if they see or hear someone else, explaining what they go through, what they feel, it may make it easier for them to accept their story. It may be easier for them to speak about what they feel and what they go through. So within the last couple of weeks, I finally said, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna fuck it. Stop worrying about what people gonna say, what people gonna think. Just tell your story and just be honest as you're known to be. So this is it. This is my channel. Crazy, sexy, and a tad bit unstable. One of my best friends helped me to come up with that title, and I felt like it perfectly fit who I am. Some people will define me as crazy. There are some people out here that will tell you that bitch is crazy as hell. There are some people that will say, she is so sweet. I've never seen that side of her. She's so cool. There are some people that will say, oh my gosh, she is so sexy. She's so beautiful. And I haven't always felt that way about myself. So I'm you think me? I'm all right. I'm a solid 7, I wouldn't really associate myself as being someone as sexy. But then my best friend's bitch, you sexy. Not the one that gave me the name, but others yo, bitch, you're sexy. Accept that shit. And then unstable, because I am very, very unstable. You never know what you're going to get from me, and that's just me being completely honest. Sometimes I may be in the best of best moods, and there are times where I make people feel very uneasy or uncomfortable and feel like you're walking on eggshells. There are moments where I am mad, and it's literally just stay the fuck away from her right now. Everybody depart. Give her her space. Don't say shit. Just go. And I had to realize that someone told me, and actually on more than one occasion, that my presence and my mood fills a room. When you're excited, everybody around you can feed off of that. But when you're angry or you're upset, everybody feels that shit too. So that was something that I had to learn about myself, which actually made me more cautious of how I make people feel, and made me more so dig deep into myself and realize what the hell is going on with me? Why am I so moody? Why do I come across these ways? And if the doctors tell you, they've defined me as bipolar. More recently, I displayed episodes of having something called intermittent explosive disorder. I'm y'all have given me, a title being bipolar because they're saying, mental health runs in my family. my mom suffered from, depression and anxiety and different things, and that's something that we'll get more into later. But, when it came to me, it was, everybody kept saying bipolar, you're bipolar, it's a mood thing. And recently, a new therapist that I've been talking to for a few months now, she's explained to me, like, I really don't think it's bipolar. The more I'm talking to you and I'm, we're tracking your moods and these feelings and the things that's coming up, I think it's intermittent explosive disorder. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't even know what, like, this stuff is. So now you done gave me something I never heard of, which means I gotta go and look into this shit, right? And when I tell you guys, they've given me so many different medications. I swear to God, y'all, no lie. I kept it just to show y'all. I keep them in a bag and stuff them in my closet because I refuse to take this shit. So this is lithium. Lithium, I guess it's supposed to help like balance your moods or some shit. I don't know. Bupropion. I forgot what the fuck this is for. Sertraline. Is this Zoloft? It might be. I forgot which one this is. One of these is like Zoloft or a fan of offset of Zoloft. Lamictrogene, whatever this is. I forgot what this one is. Topiramate. That's vitamin D. That's ibuprofen. Okay, so yeah, 6 medications that they've given me to take. Seroquel was the worst one. Seroquel gave me like these psychedelic, weird ass fucking dreams that I would like fall so deep into a sleep because it didn't make you take it at night that I would have these weird ass dreams that I couldn't wake up from. And I was just like, I would wake up in cold sweats. I would wake up with panic attacks, like couldn't breathe, chest caved in. And I guess I'm sharing all this to say, like, after a while, you giving me all these different medications, it really wasn't working for me. And I think it wasn't working for me for 2 things. Was one, I was afraid to admit that something was wrong. I was like, I don't want to feel like I need a medication to make me feel happy. I don't want to feel like I need medication to feel quote unquote normal. I want to feel like, I can manage this on my own. But the reality of it was I was having a really hard time, and most of those medications, I probably didn't even give them a chance. I think the longest I stayed on a stretch of medication was maybe 2 or 3 months, and after that, I was just like, I can't do this shit. I think the other part of it was I was afraid of being like my mom. And we'll get more into that later, and my mom has come a long way. But you'll hear me share stories and say things along the way, which is a description of past feelings that I've felt about my mom. And the majority of this stuff my mom knows now. Like, we've had an, honest sit down conversation, about how I feel or, how she's made me feel over the years. So this wouldn't even be news. I was afraid of being finally labeled as crazy. And I was afraid of ending up like my mom, because ultimately they ended up pumping my mom with all these different medications to help her to be more stable, and it worked for her. Like, my mom actually, is an advocate for feeling like, try your medications was work. But I felt like, I don't want this. I don't want any of this. I don't want to feel like I need a bag of pills to make me feel okay. So I turned to my own vices, which I completely do not recommend. I turned to things like drinking. I used to drink so much and it was so bad that nobody really knew. I would have little personals in my purse. They would be in my car. Like, they would be planted in my drawers around the house, just wherever I can finally get, access to something real quick. Like, that's my way of numbing all of this. I don't want your medications. I'd rather just drink my sorrows away. Then it became, smoking weed. I felt like, marijuana keeps me calm. The racing thoughts, like not being able to slow down what I'm thinking. If I smoke, I can finally like focus and zone in on one thing as opposed to trying to think about a million different things going on at one time. And it became so bad that I couldn't function without either of these things. So I became like this alcoholic party girl. Like, for a few years, I was bartending. And me being a bartender was like perfect access to all the alcohol that I wanted. So I went through like this good 3-year period where I was just drinking and partying my life away. And I wasn't doing this shit for fun. I was doing this shit because on the outside, to y'all, it appears that I'm having fun. But on the inside, I am drinking and drinking to fill this hole, and I'm gonna keep drinking till I don't feel whatever this is right here that I can't explain. Like, I'm trying to fill this up. This hurts right now, and I don't know where it's hurting from. I just know it's a constant hurt that I can't get past, and I'm gonna fill it with as much alcohol and make it as high as I can fucking get so I don't feel any of this anymore. And that went on for a very long time. That went on for a while, and it was like I was suffering silently, like nobody really knew. Nobody really knew how bad the drinking was. I think at one point, my boyfriend may have known because he started finding like, you know, little bottles here and there. And even then, when he found it, I don't think he even said anything immediately. It was just like, you know, you okay? And I'm fine. You know, like trying to make it seem like everything was okay. And it really wasn't. And I guess, you know, I felt like I gotta figure out, why am I not okay? What is it that I'm trying to feel? What is this void that the drinking and the smoking is supposed to do for me? Because it's filling this void up, it's filling me up temporarily, but as soon as I sober up, all that shit that you was trying to get rid of, it comes flooding back all at one time. And now you're back feeling like, what am I gonna do with these feelings? Go find me one of them little personal bottles that I stashed in this couch somewhere, or, you know, in my purse, wherever the case may be. Like, all right, we know what the drill is. We not taking that medication. We not gonna keep stuffing these pills in our body. That shit ain't gonna work. But this is okay, because I felt like on the outside, people liked me more. People loved China. When I was drunk and I'm partying, I mean, when I tell y'all I used to, Jesus Lord, like, no lie, I partied. Like, I'm talking on tables, like body shots, like, you need me to get the party started. People will call my phone just to be like, where you at? What time are you coming? We gotta wait till China get here. Where's China at? And I guess I was trying to fill that void, and I was also filling that void with this new attention, because I guess I felt like, what about me? Like, what about me? When is it ever going to be about me? And I guess that stemmed from me digging deep. That was that little kid inside of me that was feeling like nobody ever put me first. And it exhibited in ways when I was an adult, through like the drinking and this constant need for like approval. And it felt like if people approve of me like this, then I'm all for it. If people like this side of me, like, they like me and I'm having fun. They don't need to know what I'm really feeling inside. Like, they like this me, so I like this me. And I don't mean to jump around. I'm gonna try my best to like make this all make sense. And I'm like looking over here because I'm like, I try to like, you know, write stuff down and try to stay on track. But the reason I bring that up is because you really have to go back into like deep and go like really, really way back and ask yourself, where did all this stem from? And I feel like, I guess for me, what I realized as a child was, I always naturally knew when things weren't right. I could always pick up on the feelings of people, even at a young age. I could tell if something was wrong. I could tell if, you know, someone was happy or sad. I could tell if we were in a bad situation, you know, bad circumstances. Just, I've always been very intuitive of things going wrong. And, you know, hold on, give me a second. And as the oldest, I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And my mom had me when she was young. My mom was 14 years old when she had me. And I feel like I was always born into some type of dysfunction, because my mom was 14 and my dad was 20. And a lot of people had like questions about that apparently from stories that I've been told. Was just like, why, what was going on where your mom got pregnant by a 20-year-old man? You know, that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that later. But I feel like my mom, being as though she had me at such a young age, she was just so super afraid of me making the same mistakes that she made. So she kind of like instilled the fear of life in me. Whereas my mom grew up my mom had us grow up believing that everything in the world is bad. People are bad, life is bad. Like, I'm gonna try my best to protect you guys from life, from people. So I felt like my mom was always coming down on me with like you better not be this way. You better not do these things. And you're the oldest, so you need to do this. And I felt like she didn't realize what she was doing, but she put the weight of the world on me at a young age where it was like, I can sense that you're hurting. And I can also sense that you don't want whatever this is for me. So I gotta make her happy. That means I gotta do whatever the fuck she say, how she say it, when she say it, and I gotta make sure these kids or these siblings of mine do what she say, whenever. And I felt like I adapted this mindset where all I wanted to do is make her happy. Don't get pregnant at a teenage age. Don't do these things. You can't go outside. You can't, like my mom, from what I remember, and like especially my teenage years, she kept us very sheltered to the point we weren't allowed to go outside. So, I literally could not go outside and interact with the kids in my neighborhood because my mother felt like these people are horrible, these people are bad, I'm protecting you from these people. So it was like people in the neighborhood thought we lived in a cult. Like, I swear to God, this is no lie. Like, my mom didn't really let us go outside and interact with the people. And around this time I was living in Southeast. We was living in 16th and W. And we was living at the top of the hill. If you know 16th and W at, you go up W Street at the top of the hill. I'm sorry, y'all. For those who are not from DC, I tend to relate things that happen to locations. So that's how it helps me to remember. But on W Street in Southeast at the top of the hill, on the same street as the Frederick Douglass house. I used to live in these apartments right there at the top of the hill. And my mother had this belief that we weren't going outside. You guys are not interacting with those people. And there was this real big, heavy-set lady that used to sit outside. And she used to say, you gotta let them kids come outside. You don't know. And they used to like say stuff to my mom, like, you can't keep them kids cooped up in that house like that. You gotta let them kids come outside. And in my mom's mind, she was protecting us. I'm not going to let my daughter go out here and get pregnant. I'm not going to let her go out here and do this stuff. She felt like I'm protecting my kids from the world. And in my mind, it was my job to make her happy. But then what I started realizing was that there was nothing I could do to make her happy because my mom was unhappy in her own way for things that she was experiencing and going through that I didn't quite understand. All I knew was that I couldn't fuck up. Like, my mom had me scared shitless of her, back in this time where it's like I was afraid to do anything wrong. Like, and I didn't understand her views of the world. But my mother felt so fucked over by the world because of things that had happened to her. And like I said, that's, this will all make sense in future videos, but her view of the world was so fucked up because of the things that happened to her that she felt like the best thing that I can do to keep my kids safe is to keep them close to me. And if that means sheltering and keeping them away from the rest of the world, then that's what it is that I'll do. And I guess I felt like, going and fast forward into like me as an adult and in that party girl phase, I guess I felt like my happiness never mattered. And I never got a chance to say, like, this is what I want for me. Because from day one, once I was able to identify, that my mom is unhappy. My mom has these weird views of the world and people that she's imposing on us. So it don't matter what I think and feel. I have to do what she says. If she's telling me that you know, the world is this big dangerous place. That's what I'm believing. So I felt like I never really got a chance to like form what I thought about things because I had to go with what she imposed on me. And it kind of led to this thing where it's like I became a people pleaser. And I realized that came back from being a kid and wanting to please her. I didn't want her to be upset, you know, because my mom was lethal with her tongue. So, you know, she would say things, you know, to get her point across. She had a weird way about going to make her point stick, to make you believe that shit is fucked up. And sometimes it made me feel like, is it the world that's fucked up or is it you? And I didn't start having them thoughts until I got older. But then I started realizing that back then I didn't have, I guess I was too young to really make up my own view of things. I went by her view of things. And in her view of things, it was just like, I gotta make her happy. I don't know what it was where I adapted this. Like, I gotta take everything on. And that means I gotta be the oldest for my siblings because she, you know, drilled in my head that you're the oldest and you're this and you're that. So I had that weight on my shoulders. Then I had the weight of mommy said, you know, I have to do this way and I can't interact with people and I can't have these things. And it's like, it was so many rules to try to follow. And there was so many guidelines, all because of her fear of the world and the way she viewed people because of the things that happened to her. And I guess it's like, you know, guys, we have to be careful of how we push our views onto our kids. And I feel like my mom did the best of what she could because nobody did this for her. You know, she didn't know how to be a mom. My mom never even got a chance to be a kid because all of that got taken away from her. So she tried her best to use her experiences to be the parent that she thought was a good parent. And even though she may have had her ways of doing it and saying it, she did what she thought was best. But what she thought was best transformed me into a person who felt like I'm just here to please. Like, it don't matter what I feel, it don't matter what I think, it doesn't matter what I want. I have to do what I'm told to do. And as long as I do what I'm told to do, people are happy. And as I became an adult, it was, as long as I'm doing, you know, as long as I'm drinking and I'm smoking and I'm this person, people like me this way. So don't change, Aisha. Keep doing this thing this way. And I adapted for a long time my mom's views of the world, which made it so I was unable to create my own view. And what led me to think about this is thinking about our kids today, y'all. Our parents was fucked up with us, right? So we have a tendency to think about the things that our parents, you know, did with us, and now we're like, as a parent, I am not going to let my kids do this, and this. Like, for example, I don't feel like my mom really encouraged until I got older for me to express how I felt. She was very much an authoritarian, like, you are going to do what the fuck I say, when I say, and how I say. Whereas now, I know how that made me feel as a kid. So it's like now with my own children, I'm like, you know, please tell me how you feel. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. You know, don't be afraid to tell me how you feel. It's like, I'm like overly like, no, talk to me, tell me how you feel. You know, put it out there, because I'm like, I don't ever want to make that mistake of making my kid feel like, you know, their opinions don't matter. You know, my mom's view of society and how fucked up people was led her to make us sheltered. Where, like, I say this and I'm not playing, we literally lived like a little cult for a while. Like, we only interacted, my siblings and I, with each other and my mom. Maybe with kids outside of school stress, but I was one of those kids where I fucking loved going to school. kids hated me in school. I was dirty. I wasn't really like one of those kids that dressed really nice. Like, my mom really didn't have a lot. Our life went up and down. And then when we were living in W Street, just so happened to be one of those periods where, she was down and was just trying to do the best she could. So I never was a kid to have like name brand stuff or walk around fresh all the time. Like, I was that kid that washed my clothes in the tub. I got in the tub. We stomped on our clothes to wash the clothes. The water be turning black as shit. We would wring them motherfuckers out, hang them around the house to dry. Like, we didn't even really have money to go to the laundromat to wash clothes. Like, we learned how to, you do your laundry in the tub. That was our laundromat with some dishwashing liquid. And maybe if she had a little bit of extra money, we might get some detergent here and there. Like, I was that kid. So I felt like, I lost my train of thought. But I felt like, I was that kid that really, my mom, like I said, back it up. We was in this cult-like thing. We really didn't have a lot, and all we really interacted with was each other. So yes, when I went to school, even though the kids really didn't care too much for me, or was just like, she this, I was just like, y'all don't even know what the fuck I'm going through at home. Y'all have no idea what I'm going through at home. So fuck all of y'all. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy to not be in this house or in what I'm dealing with. And I feel like, my mom had this view where she kept us sheltered in that way. Like, tried to keep us. My thing, I guess, for myself is, like social media, for example. I don't allow my kids got phones, but you can't be on social media. And I think it's one of those things where I'm afraid of social media shaping who they are and who they feel about themselves before they get a chance to realize that on their own. And that's one of those things where I feel like I'm trying not to push my belief, onto my kids. But at the same time, I feel like, like my mom thought she was protecting us. I guess in my mind, I think I'm protecting my kids, because I'm like, I don't want you on social media looking to the internet to try to see what you're supposed to look like, or, what you're supposed to feel like about yourself, or, if you don't get enough likes, then you're feeling like you're not pretty. I swear to God, no lie, y'all. I'm gonna pause for a second and share this story. So I teach I teach 4th grade, right? So kids are between the ages of like 9 and 10. Most of them are like 10. So within the last 3 years of me teaching, I had one particular student, a little girl. We was in class, we talking about like, social media and like Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm telling them like, Miss P have Instagram, but I don't really like getting on it. And I'm like, I'm not really a fan of like, like I said, I guess I think too deep into it. And they was like, why? And I'm like, I'm always thinking, I said, like, what the picture look like, and, what is it supposed to say? And I said, I guess I'm one of those people that think too deep into it, and I don't like that social media makes people feel that way. Like, and I'm not gonna say it makes everybody feel that way, but somebody like me, who's thinking like, you gotta try to think of a catchy little caption, or, post this picture this way. And I was like, so, I guess me personally, I just feel like, it's too much pressure to post a certain way or do a certain thing, and I don't like that. So my kids would ask me like, well, can we see your page, yada yada yada? And I was just like, there's a reason why my page is private. It's not because I'm hiding stuff from people. I don't want students and kids finding me. So I ended up like pulling up like 1 or 2 pictures of like myself and the girls, though, showing it to them. And one of the little girls was like, Miss Perkins, your picture only got 100 and something likes. And she was like, that's not nothing, because when my mom posts her pictures, my mother pictures get like 2,000 or 3,000 likes, and nobody's gonna like your picture because you too regular. I was like, really? So how do I not be regular? So I'm entertaining it just to see it. And I'm like, so how do I not be regular? Like, what am I supposed to do? So she's like, well, you gotta put some lip gloss on, and you probably gotta put on some more makeup, and you gotta do a cuter pose. Like, you just showing yourself here. Like, you gotta like do a cute pose and put some makeup and some lip gloss on. And she was like, and you just gotta make yourself look like sexy. I said, that's how your mama do it, huh? And she was like, yeah, all the time. She was like, she always like post her pictures like that, and then she always get like 1,000 and 2,000 likes. And my mother got like 10,000 followers. And I'm just sitting there listening to this, and in my head, I'm like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. this little girl already has it in her mind that, you know, how pretty you are, or, you know, how it all depends on how many people like your picture, or, you know, what people say. And I'm sitting there thinking about this, and I'm like, that is sad. This is what I'm trying to protect my girls from. I don't want you feeling like I need to post a picture, and if it don't get a certain amount of likes, then, you know, you're not pretty or you're not that attractive. I'm like, this is what I guess I'm trying to protect my kids from. Like, I don't condone social media, because I'm like, no, I don't want y'all feeling like you gotta compare yourself to somebody out here in order to accept what you look like or who you are. And guys, I might be crazy. Like, cause I see a lot of some of my friends, they let their daughters got Instagram accounts, or their daughters got, you know, Snapchats and TikTok accounts. And I'm like, hey, no shade. It is what it is. It's just not for mine. Like, I personally feel like I don't approve of the kids having the use of social media. And the messed up part about it is that's all these kids know now. And I feel like, guys, if you really stop and think about it, right? In addition to our kids dealing with their society, which is now everything is on social media. It's like nothing we can hide from them. Sex and relationships and drama. It's just all exposed to them so young. So it's like, in addition to them dealing with their new society, they also have to deal with whatever we impose on them, like our beliefs, and like, you better be this way or you better be that way. And it's like, kids nowadays already know what depression and anxiety is. You know, I'm already having talks with like service providers in schools for like students for my kids, because this kid needs therapy. This kid needs emotional support. This kid is having, you know, these emotional outbursts. And the crazy thing is, guys, and I know I went off on a rant, but I'll get back on track soon. You gotta thank your teachers across the world. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a teacher. I'm saying this because when I was in school, when I was dealing with all these emotional things, especially like in middle school and high school, my teachers was the ones that I confided in. There were 3 in particular that they were the only ones who knew what I was going through at home. They were the only ones I confided in. Even me nowadays as a teacher, my students confide in me and like tell me things that they feel and things that they experience. And I'm just like, our kids these days are so emotionally fucked up because they're dealing with more than you could ever imagine that they're dealing with. They're dealing with so much. They're dealing with society. They're already dealing with, you know, thinking that they want relationships and, you know, the things that they see. A lot of parents are like young, and a lot of parents are more so now like, fuck time. I'm gonna give you this game or this Xbox or this iPad or the phone, and that's where these kids are spending their time. Where it's like, you're not really watching your kids and listening to the things that they're saying and what they're going through and what they're feeling. And I feel like, going back to tie this all together, when I was a kid, we didn't have like social media and things like that. So, you know, we didn't have these things just put out there in front of our faces like that. We actually had to grow and learn about most of these things that these kids are exposed to now. And I feel like, guys, we gotta like build our kids up emotionally. And that's one thing that I dug deep into myself, was I realized that I wasn't built up as a kid emotionally. You know, I felt like my feelings didn't matter. I felt like I am here to do what I am told. I am here to follow directions. I am here to be a leader because I'm the oldest, so I have to take care of my siblings. You know, I am here to make good grades. You know, I am here to, you know, to make my mother proud. Even if no matter how much I do, it may not feel like it's enough, but it doesn't fucking matter. I gotta do what she's telling me I need to do. As I became an adult, it ended up being the same thing where I put other people before me. I felt like my feelings, it doesn't matter. I'm all for personal sacrifice. I'll worry about me later. What matters is this person gets what they want. I make you feel good. I make you feel good. And it's like, there goes that cycle of people pleasing that began when I was a kid. Think about it. What are we imposing on our children now? What views do you have about, you know, things that may have happened to you, you know, that you're imposing on your child right now? Like, you know, how are we making our kids feel? Like for me, all I wanted was to feel loved. And I felt like I didn't always get that. I had to, protect my younger siblings. I had to, I felt like show my mother I loved her and show her love, because I felt like at an early age I realized that that's what she was lacking, was that nobody ever made her feel loved. And so because nobody ever made her feel that way, like she tried her best to display it and to give it to us, but she was so hurt and so broken inside that she really honestly didn't have that much to give. And no matter how perfect I tried to be, in the beginning, I felt like it wasn't enough. So then after a while, instead of being a perfect person, I started resenting my mom. Then I became, very disrespectful, and I'm not proud of that. And I actually literally had to break down one day as an adult and call her, and was just like, I am so, so sorry. And, I'm sorry, I get these moments where I'm trying to think. I guess I hope that in this video for today that my point came across was that the very first thing I had to do was dig back into like, why did I feel the need that I acted a certain way because people accepted it? Why? Because I felt when I look back as a child that I learned that at an early age that my feelings didn't matter, because that's how people made me feel. I felt that I am here to do what I'm told. I am here to follow directions. And as I became an adult, I started feeling the exact same way. I am here to make people feel good. I am here to make people smile and entertain them and make them laugh, or, give them whatever it is they want of me. I just feel like, God, I guess that's my purpose. My purpose is I am here for other people's use. I am here to make other people happy. And I made that connection as a child, that I felt that way as a child, and this is how this one way this is showing up as in my adulthood is that I'm still a fucking people pleaser. That I'm still always looking to make other people happy, because somewhere deep inside I've told myself that my feelings don't matter and what I want don't matter. Tying that back to what we do with our kids today, we gotta try not to impose our fears of the world or our insecurities on our children now. And like I said, I'm doing that and I use social media as an example, because I am so afraid of my daughters not giving themselves a chance to create their own identity. I'm so afraid of social media doing that for them, that in my mind, that's what I'm banning them from. Like, no, you cannot get on social media. Whereas my mom, her way of doing it was like she kind of raised us in like this little cult that went on for like a year or two, where my mother did not allow us to communicate with the outside world unless it was us going to school. If we weren't going to school, we were in the house with her, doing whatever she said, whatever it is she wanted. That's the way it was. And so that also kind of messed up my way of knowing how to interact with people, because of this belief of, I'm doing what this person tells me to do, maybe that's what people do. So when I started interacting with people, I had this belief that I am supposed to do whatever you want me to do. Whatever you say, do. And after a while, you become numb and robotic. Even as a child, you become numb because you're believing that I am just doing what I'm supposed to do. This is one of the ways I've seen this manifest in myself. And I guess, to wrap this up, is one of those things where we have to think and ask yourself, how am I projecting my beliefs onto my children now? Because if you had some experiences that fucked you up as an adult, imagine what you're probably doing to your own kids right now. Another harsh reality I had to believe, and then I had to realize by myself, and I'm gonna try to wrap this up because I just realized this video is long as fuck, and I hope I kept your attention this far, was that I have put this unrealistic and unfair burden on my children to love me unconditionally. Like, I think sometimes I'm guilty of making my children feel like my love comes with a price. Like, I have gone out my way to make sure you guys are always dressed nice, because I never was. You always look good. You have, your own rooms. You got, Y'all have endless shoes, clothes, you have everything you want. Now love me in return. That means do what I say do. Go to school and do what you're supposed to do. And, you know, I shouldn't have to ask y'all to clean up. I shouldn't have to ask y'all to do this. You know, don't fucking lie to me. Don't do this because I do everything for y'all. I give you everything you want. So now you meet my expectations. And it's like, yeah, me and my daughters have a loving relationship, but I had to catch myself that sometimes I could be a tyrant. I can throw up in their face. Y'all are spoiled. Y'all didn't never go through half the shit I've been through. You don't know what it's like to you know, not have to, what I used to say to them, you know, wear the same pair of shoes all the time. Y'all don't know what that's like. You know, y'all got 20 pairs of shoes in your closet. Y'all got drawers full of clothes and stuff. I wore the same pair of shoes for a year. I did this, that. Do y'all have any roaches in this house? Y'all live in a nice ass apartment, high rise, fucking gated access and, you know, community room. You got all this fancy stuff in this building. I shared my house with roaches. I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about these motherfuckers were so bold. They ain't even run when we cut the lights on no more. They felt like, bitch, we're a family. We're all in this shit together and we're not gonna keep running anymore. So get used to it. Like, I would open the refrigerator and they'd be like, bitch, you want some chicken? There's some chicken left in here. Like, you ever have roaches in your refrigerator? Like, you ever have to sleep with something covered over your ears because you was afraid that the motherfuckers was gonna crawl in your ears? And like, I would literally be shooting this shit at my kids. Like, you will never know what that's like. Like, cause I have made it so y'all never have to know what that's like. And I guess in my way, it's like I feel once again, I'm like, I don't matter. Y'all don't appreciate me. And then one day, literally, Taylor like broke down and was like, Mommy, we appreciate you. Like, I don't know what else you want us to do. And I felt so bad because I was just like, Aisha, where is this coming from? Oh, I get it. So you're still feeling hurt inside and feeling like nobody, what about me? That's the question. What about me? You're still a little girl sometimes inside that's screaming, what about me? What about me? What about me? And you projecting it off on the most innocent people in your lives right now. These little girls, when I tell you they worship the ground, like they love their mother. And they see the love I instill upon them. And the thing is, sometimes I just have to hug them and apologize because I'm like, I'm still hurting inside. And Mommy still got a lot to work on. And sometimes I take that out on y'all. And I'm not perfect. It's like literally, you know, I'm afraid that, you know, like Taylor, I'm always like, you know, when you leave out the house, I'm gonna start making you wear muumuus because you're 11, about to be 12 years old, and she got body like her mama. And I'm like, and she's like, Mommy, and she's so green, she don't realize what she has. So she's just like, Mommy, I don't care about that. And I'm like, you're never going out this house. And she's like, I'm okay with that. You know, and she's just, and I'm like, there you go again, Aisha. You're projecting your fears of, well, you know, men didn't give a fuck about the fact that I was 12 or 13 or 14, but we'll talk about that later. So that's my fear of feeling like I don't ever want them looking at my child that way. So, you know, guys, I guess like to wrap this up, you know, if you're interested in taking this journey with me, the first step today is to like think about something that happened to you as a child or a way that you used to feel and ask yourself, how is that showing up today? Think about a belief that your parents may have bestowed upon you or something they used to drill in your head all the time that as you got older, you realized wasn't quite true, but now you realize that you're probably doing the same thing to your children. And like own it, face it, and accept it. And more importantly, don't ever let your kids feel like you're too good to apologize. I let my daughters know all the time that your mommy is a shit show, but I'm trying to get myself together. Like, and it's okay for you to tell me if I make you feel some type of way. It's okay for you to tell me if I hurt you. You know, you gotta let me know these things. And building up that trust with your kids and that conversation and letting them know that their feelings do matter. That will go a long way. Trust me. I have no idea why. Let your kids know they matter. Let them know their feelings matter. Let them know their thoughts matter. I don't give a fuck if you got 5 kids, whatever it is, you take 5 or 10 minutes a day and spend with each of your kids individually. And even if that means you just listen to them. And I am so sorry, I don't even know why I got choked up for a second, but it's one of those things where I feel like you have to tell your kids that their feelings matter. You have to tell them that now. You matter, your feelings matter, listen to them. Like, that's your lesson for today. That's your key takeaway for today. Before you go talk to your kid, go back and do those steps I said. What's something that showed up when you was a kid that you didn't realize before, or feeling? How is that showing up now? Acknowledge that, and then think, how are you projecting these things off to your kid now? Have you told your child that their feelings matter? Have you sat down and asked them how they feel and what they think? You will be surprised, especially if they at the age of like them 10, 11, 12 years olds. They got some big feelings and some thoughts. Even my 5-year-old. My 5-year-old tells me things that she feels that I'm just like, oh my God, if you just let a kid talk and you just listen, even if it don't make sense, just let them feel like they matter. That's your point for today. All right, guys. I just realized this is 45 minutes. I hope today this, like I said, reached across somebody. This was episode 1 of Crazy, Sexy, and a Tad Bit Unstable. Tune in every Sunday. I will be uploading new videos. Every Sunday it'll be a different topic, a different event, a different thing. And I'm hoping that you guys are willing to ride this wave and go through this journey with me. All right, I'll see y'all next Sunday.